Hi, everyone. I'm John Lynn, the founder and chief editor at Healthcare IT Today. We're excited to bring you another in our series of interviews with top leaders in health IT. And today's guests are Ryan Husinga, he's solutions architect for ACDI, and Summer Jones, vertical business development manager for ACDI. Welcome, guys.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Yeah, so excited for this discussion. I call this our series of practical things that people don't realize are a pain in the neck if you don't do them right. So I love this topics like this, especially as a tech guy. I mean, former tech guy, literally tech guy on Twitter. So anyway, before we get into the topic, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and ACDI? Ryan, you want to start?
My name is Ryan Husinga. I'm a solutions architect at ACDI. About 14, 15, 16 years in the industry of print management, solutions, people, humans, printing. I work on the pre-sale side, which means I get to be that kind of gap filler between the user wanting to explore print management, ACDI offerings, and all the other fun technical stuff that's been coming up in the world with healthcare and IT and printing.
Awesome. Summer?
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, so like he said, I am Summer Jones. I'm our vertical business development manager for ACDI. So I deal with anything that is vertical specific, whether that be a vertical specific marketing campaign, any shows, conferences, anything like that. And then I also deal with our OEM channels as well. So I'm a leading partner for that. And then I'm also running our social media right now. And then I'm also the talk show host on our Copy That web series.
Awesome. You're trying to take my job, I see.
I am not, I promise. Yeah, so ACDI as a company, we are an authorized solution center or an ASC. So we basically provide the support and software for a multitude of different products and software. So PaperCut is actually our flagship product. It's kind of our bread and butter and how we started, but it's still what we deal with the most on the day-to-day. And if you aren't familiar with what PaperCut is, it is a print management software. It sort of allows for easy access for printing for the user side. And then also on the admin side, you can do stuff like reporting, rules and regulations, anything like that.
Yeah. Well, I have to ask the question that I'm pretty sure our whole audience is asking, which is why are we still printing in healthcare? So we're like, why do we still need print management solution?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. So I know a lot of people, whenever they think about hospitals, they automatically think that, they have electronic health record systems now or EHR. That's been a huge change in the market. And, most healthcare providers have this, but also some of them still rely on the printed paper. And in order to print that paper, you do still have to print. So, whether it be, patient intake forms, any sort of bills, paper files, or some are even still requiring paper signatures, they need to print out those documents for that. So we are still seeing a rise in it. I feel like there's definitely a spectrum of people on there. So you kind of have the one people who are, we're all gung-ho on electronics and everything is moving to the cloud. And, we want to eliminate paper because it's bad. And then you have the other side of it where they're completely old school, printing everything out and have, the huge file systems of rooms and paper that they're storing. So we're trying to just, meet in the middle on that and say, hey, printing isn't bad. You're still going to have to use it at some point. So that's kind of where we come into play. Because, we always ask ourselves the question of, hey, what if your EHR is down? Then what? You always want to have a backup plan. So that's kind of where we come into play, especially because I feel like there is such a surge of security issues right now and, people getting hacked with ransomware and everything. So everyone always thinks, it's not going to happen to them until it does. So, still having a secure way to being able to print documents just in case you need them is kind of where we're at.
Yeah, that makes sense, Summer. I mean, I actually look at EHR companies and vendors as paper producing machines. They can print more paper than any other system out there. But, so it makes sense why you need that, plus the consents, et cetera. Ryan, what do you see as like some of the major challenges with deploying printers in healthcare?
Major challenges. Well, the first complaint consideration I get when I'm talking to healthcare IT, when they want to find a print management, they need a solution, is the time. Time is something you can't buy, and time is something we spend a lot of. So the time and resources needed to deploy print queues for distributed work environments. So now hospitals aren't just one building, right? They're multiple sites, multiple clinics, different areas, and now we need to provide print enablement to those users. The other thing is Sometimes environments aren't standardized fleets, right? So now we have tedious processes of installing special print drivers for special devices over and over again, right? It's redundant time. So those are some of the major challenges we're seeing up front. Along with that, it's a redundant process. IT, right? We're asking a nuclear scientist that can split an atom to go ahead and push a button 100 times in a row. Well, let's get a solution that can automate that, let that IT professional focus on the more critical items that are inside that healthcare environment.
Yeah, let's talk about that, Summer, right? What is the impact of printing on IT staff? You know, when I talk to a lot of CIOs, they're like, we need to get out of the data center business, right? I'm pretty sure they want to be out of the printer business. So what's the impact of printing on IT staff that many don't even recognize?
Right, that's a great question. So whenever you think about it, so many companies right now are dealing with that labor shortage. So I'm sure a lot of them are obviously sort of down on their IT staff. So they're working with limited resources right now. And obviously, whenever you are implementing any sort of new software into a system, your IT staff is going to be the ones doing that work and kind of seeing it to launch and seeing it to fruition. So only having to do something once, like Ryan says, is ideal because time is on, our side. We want to spend it as wisely as we can. So IT is definitely seeing kind of the strain if they have something hard to implement. So printing is definitely not something that you kind of want to feel that strain of. And that's what PaperCut is so great about. They have a great software that's relatively easy to implement. And then at ACDI, we also have a great support side of the house. So we can always help out with that, especially some of these larger, hospital deals, just like Ryan said, where they're working with multiple locations, multiple users kind of going from hospital to hospital and needing to print on different wings. They have to be able to do that. And whenever it comes to printing, you want it to just work. And that's kind of PaperCut's model. So just being able to kind of alleviate the impact of printing that IT is having is kind of where we come in.
Yeah, I think every CIO would be happy to never see a help desk ticket about printing again, right? And setting up user provisioning at a new locale so they can print, right? It sounds like
right, of course. Yeah, and actually 50% of help desk calls usually evolve around printing. So to be able to cut that number in half, your IT team is going to be gracious for.
Yeah. So talk about the new print deploy that's part of PaperCut. What does it do and how could it help a healthcare organization?
Yeah, so print deploy is pretty much a feature that PaperCut implemented to kind of get the right print driver to the right print queue. And then eventually gets that to the right person at the right location. And it does all of this automatically and then relatively easy as well. So Ryan actually so graciously, whenever I started, kind of walked me through print deploy and all of its features. And I was like, wait, that's, all you have to do. It takes 3 or 4 minutes for you to press some buttons and, it's working. So it's something that can, just like we were talking about before, help alleviate the stress of the IT team and just cut down the amount of time that they're spending, deploying those drivers, and also takes out the frustration of, having to set up all of the different print queues and all of the different users. So you're kind of alleviating your staff with having to do all of that. And print deploy, works great if you do have a little IT staff, or if you're moving, between locations or having a mixed fleet environment as well. You can kind of work really well with that because it takes away all of those stressors.
Yeah, we like that. Anything with less stress these days is a favorite feature, I think, in healthcare. Right?
Exactly.
So talk about that, Ryan. What does it take to implement a solution like this? And maybe even talk to like how it works across things like virtualized desktops, Citrix, which is so popular in healthcare, and mobile devices. So talk about what does it take to implement it and how does it work across those different devices?
Sure. And the focus being on the print deploy or PaperCut in general?
Yeah, either one.
Okay, great. Well, let's back up a minute. So you're right. I had an opportunity to kind of show Summer and kind of work with her on this and kind of train her a little bit. And Summer's not a system administrator. She's super smart but today IT professionals, they're writing GPOs. They're doing scripting late at night to kind of get this print deploy feature set outside of PaperCut to function and work. So that's why they're coming to ACDI to say, we need a better way. So PaperCut, which is nice, it implements right on top of the existing architecture. So when we talk to hospital professionals and their IT, that they're not looking forward to a rip and replace solution. They have a print infrastructure in place. It's working. They just need to enhance it or provide some other tools, and PaperCut provides that. So installs right on top of their existing print architecture and allows them either to scale out or to scale down, right? So a lot of customers today are looking to reduce print servers, but still enable users to print. And that's where print deploy comes in. So as soon as PaperCut's installed in an environment, it starts listening to the print queues, providing that visibility. And then print deploy is that tool that's built into the product that provides those IT professionals a better way of getting print queues to the right users, while using a graphical interface. So no longer are they sitting down, writing scripts, pushing a button, crossing their fingers, and hoping it works. Now they have a web-based management tool they can look at with their human eyes, make human decisions, drag and drop images, and hit go. And real time, they can see it actually impact and decide, hey, is that what we want to happen? If not, let's go ahead and pull that back. So it's a quick and easy process, but the conversation is what we want to get in with the customers to find out, okay, what are you doing today? And where do you want to go to? And that's how we can implement PaperCut in their environment.
Well, let's talk about security and HIPAA. You know, I think it's always interesting with printing. I remember some of the early days with printers, you know, that storing the images on the print queues and being a HIPAA violation as they got rid of it. I mean, so I think that's always an interesting, you know, question security wise and HIPAA wise. So is the solution secure, and how are you approaching security in this regard?
Gotcha. So we all know HIPAA is a process, right? It's not a solution. It's not a product. It's not a stamp you can put on something. PaperCut comes in and helps customers attest, come together with compliance with HIPAA processes they have in place, such as providing secure printing for patient information, right? So now that medical professional, that staff doesn't have to print and then sprint across the office, the doctor's room, the wing to kind of grab that piece of paper, or it doesn't float away. So PaperCut right away provides that ease, that calm to say, okay, I printed something. It's not going to be exiting any paper trace until I walk up and log in. So that's the other benefit, is that now we have chain of custody, right? I'm auditing. I am a physical user at a device releasing that job. So now I have a full track of what user printed that, when they printed that, what they printed, when they released it, or if they never released it, it just automatically purges, all right? And these jobs are all kept on-prem, which our customers love. PaperCut does not send jobs out to a cloud repository outside their network. It's behind their firewalls on their network resources. When it comes to security, PaperCut adheres to the security practices and policies they put in place on their network resources. So when ITs come and say, hey, you know, what's the database? Can I put encryption on here? What type of encryption can I put on the spool files? And we say, yes, yes, and yes. You can apply those, and PaperCut just simply listens and works with those. At the same time, PaperCut has implemented a lot of new security features, such as spool encryption. So when jobs are at rest, they'll be spooled and encrypted until they leave that PaperCut, that print server. Also obscuring names, and of course GDPR, right? So PaperCut is fully GDPR compliant. That way we can go ahead and check that box right away.
Yeah, absolutely. So somewhere as I think about this, like managing a printing seems like it should reduce the printing, right? Like, and ideally cost then, right? Because printing can be expensive if you do too much. Is that what you see, or at least does it like add some accountability to it? Or what do you see working with your customers?
Oh, of course. It definitely puts the accountability back on the user. So, 9 times out of 10, organizations and hospitals and big entities are going to see a reduction in cost, just because people aren't printing out something they shouldn't be printing, like shipping labels, recipes, anything like that, because they know someone is going to see that. And then they're also not printing duplicates because, just like Ryan said, they have to go up to the device and authenticate just to even release the job. So people aren't, hitting print 5 million times and then going to the printer where there's, 80 copies laying there. That's completely avoided with PaperCut, which is great. And just going back to kind of what PaperCut, is originally is, the rules and regulations of it. You can tell, people, hey, we don't want this person printing in color. We want them printing duplexes. So being able to set those regulations is automatically going to bring your total cost down because people just in general aren't printing as much.
Yeah. Well, and if you're the orthopedic surgeon, you can print all you want because, they can do whatever.
Exactly.
Nearly.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, Summer, Ryan, I appreciate you taking the time to share about this. It always fascinates me how many of these relatively small things that we take for granted, like printing, are actually have a big deal and make the user experience better. And, obviously are a weight on the IT staff as well. So thanks for sharing some insights and perspective on this. And thanks everyone for watching and listening. If you want to find more great healthcare IT content like this, be sure to check it out at healthcareittoday.com or search for Healthcare IT Today on your favorite podcasting application. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you, John.